Saturday, March 5, 1887. The Buffalo Times. Where is Maggie? Is the question bothering the police force of Brooklyn. The fate of a pretty German girl causes much anxiety. Was she assaulted, then burned alive, or was she stolen by wandering gypsies? Brooklyn, March 5. Little Maggie Kublian of Williamsburg is still missing. 6 days have elapsed since she mysteriously disappeared within a few yards of her own house, and there is no longer any doubt in the neighborhood that the child was either abducted or slain. Investigation has completely exploded the ingenious efforts of certain romantic residents to prove that Maggie had maintained a clandestine intimacy with a youthful Don Juan of Maspeth, with whom she eloped during Saturday night's storm. Theory upon theory regarding her movements has been adduced. The ablest detectives have diligently followed up every clue that might possibly lead to the discovery of her whereabouts, yet Captain Kaiser and his men have made no headway and pronounced the case singularly mysterious and, for the present at any rate, insolvable. Superintendent Campbell sent the following general order yesterday afternoon: in every precinct in this city, Captain, use every means at your command to find out the whereabouts of Maggie Kublian, whose disappearance was reported Sunday. Search all female lodging houses, employment bureaus, and all other places in your precinct where women or girls would be likely to be. Mr. Charles Graham was seen by a reporter last night. Mr. Graham is the proprietor of the pottery into which many people think the missing girl was allured, then assaulted, and thrown into the kiln. According to him, the Bohemian watchman, Fuchs, the driver, Lyson, who were working inside the pottery on the night Maggie passed by, have only been about 18 months in this country, are gentle, good-tempered, and easy-going young fellows, and the last men in the world he would think capable of committing so horrible a crime. My opinion is, continued Mr. Graham, that the unfortunate Maggie was kidnapped by some peddler, farmer, or gypsy who happened to have been traveling along the dark, lonely avenue that night. Nothing would have been easier for a desperado than to have bound and gagged the child to prevent her from screaming, then thrown her into a wagon and driven off. Speaking of the loaf of rye bread and the account book found at the entrance to the pottery, Mr. Graham said, when found, the bread lay on an open piece of brown paper a short distance to the right of the stoop. If there had been a struggle, the paper would have been blown away by the high wind prevailing at the time. My opinion is that the bread and the book were carefully placed in front of the pottery just to put the police on the wrong scent. The furnace is an immense round brick affair, encircled with broad iron bands to secure it against collapse. The aperture through which the fuel is passed is about a foot square. The heat averages 1500 to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit, and at times registers as many as 2000. The furnace will be opened for examination tomorrow afternoon. Meanwhile, day and night, since last Monday, a policeman has been on guard at its entrance. Watchman Lloyd, who declares that while patrolling Chapman's Dock north of the Metropolitan Bridge on Saturday night, he heard a human cry proceeding from the dark waters of Newtown Creek, told his story to the police yesterday, but the two detectives who were perched on the cabin roof of a canal boat throughout the afternoon failed to recognize in any of the floating debris any vestige of the missing Maggie Kublian. By way of exonerating the police from the suspicion of having neglected to investigate the mystery as soon as it was reported to them, Sergeant Kitzer furnished the following statement to all inquirers at the Stagg Street Station House last night. About 10:30 o'clock on Saturday night, when I was at the desk, 2 men, one of whom was named Nelson, came here and reported that Maggie Kublian was missing. A few minutes later, her mother came in and told the same story. I immediately telephoned to police headquarters and was told that no girl of that name or answering to her description was there or had been reported found. Then I advised Mrs. Kublian to visit her friends' houses and see if the girl was at any of them. She went to Mrs. Meyer's house on Johnson Avenue and did not return to the station house that night. At about 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, she came back and said the girl was still missing. Immediately, I dispatched a section of my men to scour the neighborhood. Ever since, I have had men on the case day and night, and the whole machinery of the police force has been put in motion. All the lodging houses, employment agencies, and suspicious places in Brooklyn, Jersey City, and New York are being searched, and if Maggie Kublian is alive, we'll find her.